So, I'm Don, and this is our train layout. This is the Nearly Historical Model Railroad channel. If you like model trains, this is a great channel to watch. It's been a little while, but we are still around, and thank you for those of you who've been checking in, say, hey, you guys still there? We are. So, I'm gonna show you some stuff. So there's some cool stuff between Romley and St. Elmo over here that you haven't really seen before. It's kind of where we last left off, kind of. Yeah, so Dad's working on filling this hole over here, so we'll get to that. Scott and I went on a little road trip, and I shot a video of that, never put it out, so I'm gonna put that at the end of this, so be sure to hang out for that. So another thing too, nothing real exciting, but I fixed some narrow gauge track. I always had a little trouble with stuff going through it. Nothing ever came off, and it was kind of rough, but then I had this other train that I was running through it, and it came off all the time. So I found the gauge was wrong, and I fixed that. So another thing my dad has been working on also is a bridge over by Como, and it's a road bridge, and he's been kind of working on that little bit area here and there, so take a look at that. So first of all, let's look at this hole that Dad has been working on. I shot a little bit of video a little while ago just to kind of get something in between, so let's look at that right now real quick. Okay, so now, video from tonight of Dad working on that. And Jim was here also working on the cattle yard. So let's look at that. This area my dad is working on is, well, an area that we kind of started working on in the videos quite a while ago. There was an access hole here. It's still an access hole, but I never actually had a cover for it just because this layout was against the wall in its original location and you could not walk behind it. So you never saw the access hole. But now that we've moved the layout here, and we set it up so that you can walk behind here, now you can see this access hole. So we've been meaning to cover it up. My original idea was to put like a small baseball field in there and actually have a video about that, but I never actually did it. I think mainly just because just wasn't really quite enough room to get the baseball field in there in a way that would make me happy. So we can use this as a template, kind of figure out where we want this ball field to actually be. Over there, over there. So I just kind of never did anything with it. And then also the board I'd cut to put in there was a little warped. And yeah, I just never got around to doing anything else with it. So I think my dad got tired of looking at the hole and he decided, I'm just gonna do something with it. And this house, we actually picked up from a friend of ours that also has a layout in our area. But he didn't have any room for this building on his layout, so we got that from him and I thought, hey, that'll look really cool right here. So we're just kind of rerouting the road that goes through here. There's kind of a little road right down here and it went straight through, but we're just gonna reroute it up to there. And yeah, so we just got the first coat of plaster on it, hydrocal in this case, and it will still be able to lift out of there if we need it.
Well, now that I see how nice and flat I got this one area here, originally we thought about putting a building there, but it just wasn't enough room for a building. So I think we're just going to put a cornfield in there and some other garden plants, vegetables, something.
So here's the access hole with the access accessible, yeah, without the piece in there. And here's the piece that drops into there. We just took this out so that my dad can kind of work on them separately. And this is still drying at the moment, but isn't that pretty cool looking building? Okay, so that's that. And you might have seen that Jim was here also. So he was kind of trying out some ideas for his cattle yard on how to plant fences in place. So let's take a look at that real quick.
I'll show you in just a minute here why I'm doing this. Scenery right up to the posts, because the posts are going to be embedded.
Right.
So what I'd like to do is once this is in here, is to put scenery. You know, it needs ballast, but also put grass in here. And it gives us a chance to put in some grass and also use the static device.
Yeah.
I'd like to, rather than have this a desert scene, let's put some grass in here, so we can put it right up to the fence.
So this is an end mill, not a drill bit, but a small end mill. And Jim's put like a collar on that so it's a stop, and he's going to use that to drill the fence post holes. They'll have a nice flat bottom that way.
Ah, interesting. It walks.
Oh no.
So that means we're going to have to punch it.
You know. So the idea is here Jim doesn't want the fence post to sit too far down into the hole. It needs to be just at the right level. That way that bottom board horizontal across the fence is like right at the right height above the ground. So by using that end mill, the hole's gonna be exactly the right depth. We figured out we have to use kind of an awl first to kind of get a hole started. Otherwise the end mill kind of walks a little bit. But I think this is gonna work out. So he's just kind of doing a test to see if this whole process is even gonna work.
Like walking. Ta-da.
All right, let's look at that little car bridge over by Como that my dad's been working on. Let's take a look at that now. All right, so this is Como, and there's a road here, and it's actually an old highway. Of course, I don't remember what it is right now. But anyways, that road comes through here, and we had kind of added some track over here, this narrow gauge track here. And my dad has been working on this little bridge. He basically custom built that whole thing, and that is just, you know, for cars to go over that bridge. This part of Como is not prototypical, but it's what we had to do to make the layout work, and we kind of like this. This is kind of cool. Again, not completely done. Need more scenery and whatnot. Need to put a little bridge in there, but this is a neat little bridge. Okay, so when I say a bridge in there, I mean a bridge for the track. And then there's this bridge here for the cars. So that's kind of nice. Nice little added touch here. Liking this. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the little part of narrow gauge track that I fixed. So that it was out of gauge. I actually just replaced a bunch of rail on it. And so that's much better now. All right, let's take a look at that. So here's Como again. And back here is this section of track that loops through here, this curved area. I've just always kind of had a little trouble with it, all right? And I just, whatever, I thought I was hitting a spike or something, I don't know. So finally I got the track gauge out and I checked it. It's like, oh, hey, these rails are actually really narrow. I'm surprised anything is going through it. So I played with it and fixed it and ran a train through it, and it was just as bad. Turned out there was a couple like little 1-inch sections of rail right next to each other, and so finally I just like took that out and I like replaced the rail from like here all the way like down there on both sides, and now it actually works really well. So that's one of those things that's like, well, I probably should have done that like 5 years ago at least. so anyways, there was that. So again, down there is Como, and speaking of track work, up the hill here, I kind of had a little bit of an issue up here also, so I kind of fixed that. And I'm not going to get into this right now, but a long time ago, I hooked up this Y with the auto reversing unit. And it worked fine, but I had kind of one little issue where the unit, the auto reversing thing, when a train crosses a gap, when it crosses the gap, it would automatically flip that turnout. Well, my gap was really close to that turnout, and the turnout wasn't always changing in time for the for the locomotive, and the locomotive would come off the track because the turnout had not flipped all the way. And I said I'm not going to get into why I originally did it that way, but I had a really good logical reason to do that. But after running it in operation, it's like, yeah, maybe it's not worth it. So I kind of rewired kind of how this whole reversing section works up here. So now I don't have that problem anymore. And yeah, so basically that's fixed. There's just one other little issue, like I can't run a train out this way and out that way at the same time. And I don't really do that anyways. So if I just remember that little fact, it's all fine. But it really solved my other issue with that turnout not turning quick enough. So that's happy now. All right, so let's look at the cattle yard part up by the processing plant that my dad's been working on. Let's look at that now. All right, so the cattle industry is kind of big on our layout. This is where the cattle will get processed once they've traveled on a few different trains to get here. So my dad had built a Campbell kit, pretty common kit. It's actually a pretty good kit. So he put that together, but then he also expanded it and added these extra pins to it, and also made this fence that goes off into the building, off to the side of the building. So that's kind of cool. Not sure if you've seen that or not yet. So this scene's not done, but it's definitely made a giant leap forward. All right, so now I want to show you like what we've done between Romley and St. Elmo. I actually have a lot of video of us actually going through the process of doing rock molds and painting and do all that type of stuff. I may or may not put that out. I'm not sure. That's where I kind of got stuck on doing videos a while ago. So I'm just going to get you caught up on some other stuff. I'll just show you how it looks now at the state it is. Part of it's basically finished, but it's pretty cool. I like it. So let's take a look at that right now. All right. Okay, so this area is Romley, and down the hill, and prototypically, there is St. Elmo. And in between those locations was several mines. So with this, I got to work on one of the mines. And in doing so, or even before that, Scott and I did a bunch of rock molds. Actually, a lot of us did a bunch of rock molds and painting and whatnot. And here's that mine now. There wasn't much here at all before. And this has come a long way. Originally, and still someday, I want to actually probably make this kind of an active mine. But I need to build a head frame for it. And I just don't feel like doing that right now. No, more realistically, I don't have the time to do that. So I had a lot of bits and pieces of things. And so I just thought, well, let's just make it kind of an abandoned mine at the moment. So I actually laid this rail down in the track. That's just styrene and some wood ties. So we kind of set this up, and I literally just found some pieces of wood and little bits of stuff laying around and just kind of glued it all down there. I don't know what it used to do or what it was for, but it looks great here as kind of an abandoned mine. So this scene it looks great now, actually, as it is. Need to do ballast on the track, and really that's it. More will probably get done to this. Originally we were going to make it kind of look like this guy, and I still want to build this. My dad and I were just talking about that. I actually want to build that going over here like that. So yeah, so that's that now. Oh, and it was kind of cool. My middle daughter, she came out one time and helped us plant most of these trees and a lot of the bushes and weeds and whatnot. So that turned out really nice. That was really, really cool to have her out here and do that. She actually had fun doing all that. So, and it turned out nice. And next to that is St. Elmo. So all of this got rock molds and got painted. It's not looking really good in this shot just because of the lighting, but this was a lot of work. And all of us came out and worked on this area and did this. And I have more video of it. May or may not put it out. We'll see. But yeah, this still needs a lot of work, but getting all the rock mold and all that stuff done, that was a major step forward. So just getting some life on it, some other dirt down here low, yeah, made a huge difference. It turned out really cool. It's gonna look very nice once we're done with this. But yeah, we got a major step forward on this area. I'm liking how that all looks. Okay, so now that we got you all caught up on everything, I've got that road trip video that Scott and I went on over to the nearest hobby store to us. So hope you enjoyed this. Good to see you all again. Not that I can see you, but you can see me, so I pretend I can see you. I'm glad you're all out there. So anyways, let's do the road trip thing. All right, goodbye.
Still in my element, go ahead and tell a friend. I should be televised, headline and main event.
Well, we're traveling over the mountains and through the woods just because we go to the hobby store, which is luckily only 2 hours away from our location of where we live. But hey, it's all right. We're taking the old Duster for a trip. It's kind of fun. Check that out, a railroad bridge. I've always liked these. A Mustang we just passed up?
Yes,
I think it was.
and I'm having a 6-cylinder.
Check that out, a rotary snowplow. Scott's kind of scratch building a rotary snowplow, much like that one. So that's why we came here to the hobby store, so we can get some plastic, because we didn't want to order it online. We want to do it the old-fashioned way. But yeah, so here we are at the hobby store. In the trunk of his car is the snowplow that he's kind of kit bashing. We're talking to Jim, see if he needs anything while we're at the store. Well, we stopped for lunch because we're hungry. Headed home. Alright. Yeah, so we're headed home. Yeah, Scott's making a custom rotary snowplow thing. Needed some plastic and stuff for it, so he bought some of that, some different styrene, some other metal bits and pieces, trap gauge. I got some narrow gauge cars I want to work on, so I got some little screws and some decals, a couple of little things. You know, nothing major. But it was a fun trip.
Yeah, have the audacity to ask me why I'm laughing on my way to the bank. You know why I came here? Came here for one thing, let's get the money. Came here for one thing, let's get the money. Came here for one thing, let's get the money. Came here for one thing, let's get the money. Here we go again. Yeah, here we go again.